All right, greeting friends, and welcome to a sort of impromptu live stream here on Kirby Russia, because yet again, Tim has blown his life savings. We'll get into that very soon. But so today I kind of want to talk to you about that particular issue, which I'll reveal very shortly. And we're going to talk about some news of the week, which is pretty sweet. But one thing I want to kind of throw out there while we're just getting started today is one philosophical question that I think I'll make a post about in the near future. Is at some point, we were sort of up to 6,200 subscribers, which is nuts. But now we're down to 6,060. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I mean, we used to get plenty of bots who maybe bumped up the numbers, and we've done a lot of bot protection, but it's kind of making me worried here, guys. I don't want to dip below 6,000. So if any of you guys are a little bit savvy on maybe Telegram itself, maybe you could tell me what's happening. Obviously, like I said, you have these bots and stuff, and you're going to boot them. So even as your numbers grow, they'll sink a little bit. Also, some people get offended. Whenever you talk about politics, you're eventually going to hurt somebody's feelings, and they're going to click unsubscribe. But most of the time, most people tend to sort of subscribe to something once when they like it and not really go through the effort of unsubscribing. So I'm kind of worried about this. I'm kind of also even feeling a little bit conspiratorial, especially after, being basically blocked for life on Facebook and Instagram and losing my initial tourism YouTube channel that I do, losing that. We're back on YouTube, by the way. I'll have to make some posts about that in the future. But so anyways, my paranoia is justified. Telegram has no reason to hate me as it's a Russian thing, but who knows? So if you guys have any ideas, remember, at any point in time, if you go onto the main Tim Kirby Hardcore channel, you see the picture that says Telegram live stream starts in 15 minutes. If you post any comment under that, I'll see it. In fact, I see all the comments you post anywhere during this live stream that are on the channel. But posting them under that particular image just makes things easier on me. So anyways, our first question is, where are the people going? Why are we getting so many unsubscribers? Is it a conspiracy? Is it part of the World Economic Forum conspiracy? Are they against us? So that was sort of issue number one. Now, I guess for the big reveal. In the past, I have blown all my life savings on the house in Chekhov, which was worth it. And during the special military operation, I've had the interesting life experience of losing everything, gaining back double what I had, and I'm back to zero. Because I bought, with a mortgage, an apartment downtown. Yes, I bought the worst apartment in Moscow that I could afford for reasons that I'm going to get into very shortly. So today, we're going, it's non-alcoholic today. This is a juice made from a thing that I don't know how to translate into English. But anyways, guys, today is a celebration. The Tim Kirby real estate empire grows as I've finally acquired something that will benefit my children a lot. And let's explain that right now. And then later we'll get into the news. If you guys are still here, if you're still interested, we'll talk about the news, because I just did sort of today a huge, today as in the day I recorded this, not the day I uploaded it to YouTube. But the day I recorded this, I did a huge news dump, and there's plenty to talk about. If we want to talk, if you guys don't want to talk, that's fine. So why buy, why did I buy the absolute worst, smallest apartment that there is downtown? Well, one of the main reasons, there's one reason I'm going to leave off of this live stream, but I think a lot of people can guess what it is. But one of the other main reasons is that, living in Moscow, if you do not have that Moscow registration, as in you're not registered as living here, there are some problems. Like you really don't have much of a priority at all at the hospitals. And where are the best hospitals in the country? Moscow. So from the standpoint of getting the best surgery possible, that's good. Another thing is my daughter is considering actually changing schools and going to a private school here. But in order to do that, you have to be registered as living in Moscow. No registration, no school for you. So although there's a lot of interplay between Moscow and the region around Moscow, there are definitely some benefits to having that lovely registration. Another one for me personally is there's perks from the Moscow mayoral government, or whatever you want to call it, about retirement. And if you, have your registration in Moscow for 10 years before you retire, pending I survive to retirement. Remember, men don't live very long, so we'll see. But if I do live to retirement, this will basically double my retirement. So it's kind of pay now, get back more later. There's that. There's also one other thing that may sound very weird to you. So not only did I buy the smallest, crappiest apartment downtown that I could possibly get, which is still very expensive. It's way more than the Chekhov Empire. Probably, I would say the cost is about, if you take the Chekhov Dacha Empire that I have, it's probably double the value of that in raw terms of who'd buy it or what they'd be willing to pay for it. But there's a reason, because I bought an apartment that's condemned to be destroyed in 2025 or 2026 or 2027. I don't know. Somewhere before 2030, I know for sure. So this place is condemned for destruction. Now, why would you buy a condemned apartment? Well, that's because all the apartments they built, especially during the early Khrushchev period here, are falling apart now. It may sound nuts, but they actually built them with like a 50-year lifespan. Maybe that's kind of one of those weird things about communism. They would just sort of build apartment buildings to just sort of rebuild them later. But that's what they did. They were desperate after World War II, and they were sort of experimenting with super fast concrete panel construction and what they could do with it. Obviously, after years of experimentation, now when they make a building out of concrete panels in Russia, it is magnifique in every way. But the sort of first generation there were not so great. Nothing about them was particularly great. And so all those first generation buildings, well, the 50 years is up. In fact, the 50 years was up a while ago. They're now at about the 60-year sort of age range, which means they're falling apart. And so the government here is basically building like new super high-rise buildings with much bigger apartments. So basically, if you have, for example, I just bought a teeny tiny apartment. It is going to be 3 times bigger in 3 or 4 years downtown. Oh, baby. So that's the economic strategy behind it. And that's something that a lot of people are doing right now. And one thing that also helps is with the special military operation. Obviously, there are a lot of people who are savvy to this. They know that there are these programs to, if you buy something that looks terrible, well, it's going to get twice as big later. That's going to affect the price. It's going to affect the price. But because of the special military operation, a lot of people bailed on Moscow. So right now it is a buyer's market. So I just have to thank you all. Well, I should have to thank God first. Sorry, God. God comes first, so we thank God first. And thank all of you, and thank the people who've financed or donated to all the programs I've made, to people who've even helped me out in the past, like the Strategic Culture Foundation, even though for the time being, I'm not part of the foundation. I'll go back. I'll go back eventually. That would be that RT, some friends, hell, even the American Football League. Let's thank the Eastern European Super League of American Football. They've done a lot of nice stuff for me. So because of all this sort of like this culmination of factors of like all of these questionable people bailing with Moscow, me being able to have sort of a career explosion in this year, I was actually able to do the impossible, do what was just couldn't have happened. I've been, I wouldn't exactly say I've been, especially as a proud redneck who likes to live in the woods by himself. I wouldn't exactly say that it's been my personal dream to live in Moscow, but this lack of having a Moscow registration and looking to the future of being able to have this, really nice, fatter Social Security plan is looking pretty good. Also, you have kids, and kids grow up, and they're going to need to start their life somewhere, aren't they? And when you only own a tiny house, well, I own 2 houses, but the second house is completely trashed. So when you own like 1.5 houses, one of them, the one where there's actually water and electricity and all that stuff, is a tiny house. Well, that's not very good for the future of your children. So, Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. The only thing I'm slightly worried about is there's this also in Russia, because there are a lot of con artists here. That's one thing in Russia. Not a lot of violent crime. Boy, is there a lot of con artistry. Lots and lots of con artistry. So this is sort of that scary period between when I actually put the money into the escrow account, and there's like a 5-day wait while the bank, they pre-scan everything in advance. They have these like investigators. But now there's this like a moment where after 5 days, that's when the bank is going to, like, for sure give them the money, give me the keys, tell the government I own everything. And so it's kind of a scary period where in 99% certainty nothing should happen, but something could happen. And if something bad does happen, then Tim will be a sad man, because I highly doubt that I'll be able to find such a unique deal at a price that's a steal when you think of it in terms of Moscow. It's kind of like someone buys an apartment for $500,000. Well, in Manhattan, that's a steal. It's kind of one of those things. So I don't know. I guess today it's a day of triumph, but we also have to remember that there's a slight, tiny chance that if there was some sort of con artistry involved on the side of the people selling this, the bank might catch it. Or maybe I'm going to be completely screwed within 5 days. So we'll see. So pray for me. Pray that this doesn't happen, and that we'll be able to move forward from there. So, yeah, pretty crazy day. Blowing my life savings yet again on essentially a condemned apartment. So there you go. But anyways, guys, remember, if you have any questions, you can write them down in the thing. Basically, you go into the Tim Kirby Hardcore channel. You click on the thing that says Telegram live stream in 15 minutes. Comment under that, and I'll see all those comments. So, in fact, I'm going to read the comments that are here right now. If someone wants to raise their hand and talk to me, they can. Otherwise, I think let's just take a little brief look at the news, and then I'm going to vanish. I just kind of wanted to share, not to gloat or flex on you guys. I just kind of wanted to share this major moment in my life, because I'm very, very happy about it for now. Unless I've been fooled by con artists, then I'll be unhappy very soon. But for now, I'm feeling pretty good. So let's see. Did anyone write anything? Congratulations. Thanks, Daniel. Congratulations. You purchased from all that Off-Grid Ireland. So wait. Congratulations on your new purchase from all of us at Off-Grid Ireland. Yeah, Off-Grid Ireland. Trust me, I'll be back soon. I'll be back on the program. Everything will be great. But the thing I just bought today, the house in Chekhov has that sort of off-grid feel, even though, it has electricity from the grid. The water is not, though. So it is a semi-off-grid thing, I actually just watched a video from that guy, Bush Radical. A lot of people here say I'm a lot like the Bush Radical guy. I think it's because we're both a little bit muscular, but also a little bit fat. I think, and we have beards. So I think that's sort of the uniting factor. I think that's a polite way of saying, Tim, you have the body type of the Bush Radical guy, which I do. We could be cousins. But anyways, the Bush Radical guy was sort of explaining how, there's a lot of things about the off-grid lifestyle that he feels that YouTube, kind of lies and manipulates. And so I watched a video where he talked about all the things he's built and what's off-grid and what's not. And there's a lot of stuff that's actually sort of partially off-grid. And that's the house in Chekhov, because the water and the heating and all that all comes from your old boy Tim. That doesn't come from the man, but the electricity does. The electricity comes from the man, as does the internet. So, yeah. But then again, doing off-grid internet, boy, with your own satellite setup, I've heard that gets really expensive in Russia real quick. So I'm not planning on doing that. Okay. So anyways, maybe since we have no real messages here and no one has their hand raised, fantastic. I guess let's talk a little bit about the news here. This was pretty crazy that we shared from Mango Press. We have some fans of Mango Press. The guys in the pipeline who sort of put together the information, a lot of the information that I share. Half of it comes from me, half of it comes from the pipeline. They like their Mango Press. But anyways, it says a group of 18 House Republicans in the U.S. Congress introduced a new resolution calling for Washington to recognize Taiwan as a sovereign independent state and resume formal diplomatic ties. The effort is led by Republican Tom Tiffany of Wisconsin. Well, Tom, you should focus on what's going on in Wisconsin instead of creating a crisis that could cause a huge World War III sort of scenario. because you have to remember we have the whole one China policy where we sort of believe that there's really only one China, but kind of one version of it's on Taiwan and the other version's on the mainland, and we sort of have accepted that. Well, now saying that there's two Chinas, that is not going to make people in Beijing very, very happy. So let's hope that does not come true, because that could be a catalyst for something big. Although the Chinese are pretty reluctant when it comes to fighting. Remember how everyone always quotes, especially online, especially on YouTube, The Art of War. If you remember The Art of War is not going to war. Ultimately, that's what it is. It's winning by any other means than actually going to war. That book was definitely written by a Chinese person and not a Russian. Okay. So anyways, we also have in the news that apparently we have this tweet from the Treasury Department, in some ways the scariest department of the U.S. government. The Wagner Group is a Russian private military company involved in Kremlin-backed combat operations around the world, including Ukraine. Wagner has also contributed to destabilization, blah, blah. But so anyways, besides the Treasury Department, they have declared that the Wagner people are a criminal organization. Interesting, not terrorist. I was wrong. I told someone they were declared a terrorist organization. They were declared a criminal organization. Please forgive me. I got that wrong because, in fact, someone was talking in the chat that they were apparently trying to make contact with the Wagner people over. Don't. Unless you're in Russia and you're here forever, you do not make contact with them, because especially when you have the Treasury Department warning you. Trust me, that's the department that can, with one click of their fingers, destroy your life. So I would not. Don't just let that one be. Don't talk to them. Don't do anything. And as we've talked about many times, excuse me, on this channel, Russia is changing really quickly now that the special military operation has happened. It's sort of blown open. The Pandora's box is open. The Overton window has become soft and gooey, and it's being stretched into new shapes never before sort of imagined. And we have the Patriarch Kirill, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, is coming out finally. I thought he'd do this earlier. I guess he kind of gave the war a little bit of time to really go hard against abortion. So he says legally something about needing to legally remove abortion from the list of so-called services, is what he said. According to him, abortion is a grief and a tragedy for a woman, and it is a question of the survival of the peoples of Russia. So, yeah, so the Patriarch is coming out, and he is going hard. That's one of those core issues where for many, many years the church has been against it, but the globalist side of the Russian government was never in favor of it. Now that they're whoever's left who still has globalist viewpoints, now that they're definitely in the crosshairs, I think if now is the time to remove abortion in Russia, or at least really, really, really clamp down on it or change the structure of it, it's going to happen now. So, another interesting thing, Russian forces have entered Ugledar. Remember Solidar, the place you get salt from? So, salt blessing, salt giver. And when I have Ugledar, which is like coal giver, or coal blessing, also from that region. So, going to be a lot of mines. In fact, I had video, which I thought I was going to share with you guys, but I guess I lost it, of now, like in Solidar, again, just like in Mariupol, the Wagner guys are having to go down into these like salt mines and all these like shafts and stuff to find everyone that's hiding under there. It's crazy. And in Ugledar, if they've been mining coal, as the name would indicate, there's going to be a lot more going into these underground fortifications and mines and caves and all this other stuff. So that is going to be a nightmare. But as we can see, Russia is finally starting this more quicker, more active advance, pushing forward finally. Let's see what else. In stupid news, the whole thing about, I'm surprised that KFC is having to rebrand, but KFC is going back to its original name that it had when I came to Russia. So when I came to Russia, it was always called Rostix, and it was delicious, by the way. Then it became KFC, and I don't know. I like a good chicken sandwich, and the KFC chicken sandwiches now are too goofy. They're called like the chef burger. They probably don't even have this in America, but I don't know. They want to put like, especially tomatoes on chicken isn't very good. I don't know. They have like this kind of like tangy sauce with tomatoes, and I don't know. I want to go back to time when you had a chicken sandwich that was just doused in mayonnaise, smothered in lettuce on a simple bun. That's what I want. That's what Rustic's offered. And hopefully we'll go back to a time when that was possible. So anyways, and let's see, other news. Victoria Nuland is kind of saying that Washington is ready to ease sanctions on Moscow for the sake of serious negotiations on Ukraine. And also, that's funny, ease sanctions. So that's, well, what a wonderful offer. We're willing to maybe somehow slightly reduce the things that we're using against you as a weapon if you're willing to negotiate and end this war the way we want. No. That ain't happening. Let's see what else. Davos struggles to get used to a world without Russia. Amazing. Behind the scenes, global CEOs and leaders question how long the West can ignore Moscow and still find new markets for energy, metals, and foods. And yeah, that's the whole thing. The gas station masquerading as a country thing. They really didn't see it coming. They really didn't know just how much Russia actually produces, especially in the third column of food. However, I've been this I haven't shared either. I'm a bad host of a Telegram channel. I was tipped off to this. I should have shared it. I'll share it soon. That really, unfortunately, guys, it looks like the whole eat the bugs thing is happening. They are legalizing it and rolling it out. And one of the things about eating insects that talk about is apparently they're the chitin, like their exoskeleton. And all that actually contains a lot of allergens. So we're going to see a crippling allergy explosion as this. Of course, there's a bit of debate between religions, like I eat pork, but obviously certain religions do not. They see it as disgusting and dirty. But I can tell you one thing. All the Abrahamic religions have always told us not to eat bugs. And I think that we should listen to the wisdom of our ancestors on this one. Because if you think that there's been a sort of a crisis of like asthma in America, especially, well, it's just funny. When you live in Russia, asthma doesn't exist here. Like even the term asthma, it's the same. It's like asthma or something. I haven't said it in a long time because no one has it. That's another thing that blows your mind when you come here. Whereas like in America, well, there's certain things where we sort of accept them as for some reason, I guess because we're short-sighted historically, but there's a lot of things in America we just sort of accept that for our grandparents' generation were completely alien, including for my generation, it was the explosion of asthma. Everyone has asthma. In fact, despite the fact that I play a sport at a very high level in Russia, I don't have the best lung capacity either. And like here, it doesn't exist. The one thing I can't say that's happening in Russia is the rise of the allergies. So like my daughter does, and like people of her generation, the rise of the allergies. And I tell you what, if they're going to start feeding people, especially sort of without their knowledge, a lot of this bug chitin, you are going to see the next wave. And if you think that people have been due to I don't know, diabetes, asthma, allergies, all these other chronic problems that are affecting children in the West, especially that I saw in America. If you think that that's bad, just wait till everyone is being pumped full of these extremely brutal allergens from bugs. It's going to be nuts. Absolutely nuts. Yet another reason to move to Russia. So anyways, yeah, one thing I thought was very kind of, after this one, I'll get to your questions. One thing I thought was very interesting was that the Auschwitz Museum, Russia not invited to event marking camp's liberation by the Red Army. And I kind of had to comment that the following is a new form of Holocaust and now will remain eternally legal in Europe. And it's true. It's just absolutely nuts. This Russophobia is, it sort of knows no bounds. I think in that screenshot comes from the Times of Israel. I think even for them, they're like, this is just nuts. This is just too stupid. But really unbelievable and sad. But anyways, we have some more comments that I should read, or else why'd you bother writing them? Let's see, does anyone have their hand up? No. Okay, that's fantastic. Working Brothers here. What did you spend? He says, what did you spend your cash on? Congrats regardless. You seem chuffed. What do you mean by that? When you're going to come on the show to discuss the smuggling in your hood. Oh, well, yeah. I made a post because, you guys, I want to tell you about some of the bad stuff in Russia, too, because I don't want this to become like, again, if my sort of mission in life is to kind of, well, whether I like it or not, this is this is the mission I was given, is in a lot of ways to be like a bridge between East and West and explain what's going on here. And there's problems here. Like we just talked about, how, on the one hand, it's very mighty that the patriarch's coming out and he's going to go on this crusade against abortion, but it also means that millions of unborn Russians have been slaughtered by their mothers over the last, many years, which is definitely something negative about Russian society and their mentality. So, guys, we have to tell the truth about Russia, even when the truth is bad. I also showed a video. First, fast food restaurant brawl that I've seen from Russia. So I shared that today, happening at a KFC. And apparently in the woods around Chekhov, in my hood, the 23 kilograms of methadone were dug up by the police. That's crazy. So that's a big drug deal, like I said, I kind of mentioned in the post, I'm definitely not an expert on the world of criminality and like the underworld of drug use. That is not my specialty, but 23 kilograms of any opioid, that is a lot of doses. How much does one pill weigh? Like 1 gram or something, or 2 grams? I don't know. A teeny, let's say 5 grams at the most. That's a lot of doses. So, well, then again, it could be injected. I don't know the usage, but I'll put it this way: 23 kilograms is a ton of it, and that's nuts. So, if you ever see anyone at night in Russia with a shovel, that's someone who's in the drug business. Yeah, that's kind of the funny part. You're like, what does a stereotypical drug dealer look like? I've been told in England, a stereotypical drug dealer, they have like the little Land Rover. There's like the big Land Rover, but they also make a little one that's like a crossover Land Rover. Apparently, all drug dealers in England use those. If you're in England right now, could you maybe set me straight? The American sort of stereotype of a drug dealer is just, gold everything, gold chain, gold watch, flaunting their gangsta wealth, probably a certain ethnic background, we might imagine. And in Russia, it's someone at night with a shovel on public property. That's your true drug dealer gangsta who's in Russia. So, question: how is the land story coming along? I've missed any big updates? Unfortunately, no, because no one is answering my calls. They said we are definitely doing this, Tim. Before New Year's, they told me we are definitely doing the village first half of 2023. Since the holidays ended 18 days ago, not answering my calls. So we'll see. That's one of those things, but that's also a Russia thing. It's a very, very normal thing in Russia for no one to answer your calls. American Free Medium, a serious transnational criminal organization. Well, yeah, and there's also, I shared today somewhere on the Tim Kirby Hardcore channel. There's basically an article where RT asked Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner bunch, about their organization, and he sort of laid down their opinion. And in a lot of ways, American Free Media, you basically sort of summed up his answer. His answer had a lot of examples in detail, but that's basically what his answer to criticisms from the West were himself. So you should probably check out that article. I translated that with Yandex, and I think it's pretty interesting. Well, I found it interesting. Mark Stoneweapon. Mark, always glad to see you. Congrats on the beginnings of your real estate empire in the big capital. Thank you. I cannot believe it. Owning something within the MCOT highway, and not only within the MCOT highway, but pretty much downtown, is pretty freaking crazy. I cannot believe it happened. The patriarch speaks for the church, but you cannot legislate morality. Yeah, that is very true. But you can have legislation line up with morality, but no, you can't really make people moral, and that's part of Eastern Orthodoxy, because Eastern Orthodoxy is one of the forms of Christianity, which is actually most of them. Islam is the same way, as is pretty much, I think, all forms of Judaism. That we have free will, and we have the free will to be sinful or not sinful or medium sinful. Well, of course, everyone's sinful at some point, but you see what I mean. Free will is on the table, and as long as we have free will, morality is always going to be a tough one to legislate, an impossible one to legislate. So there you go. Chitin is a toxin to humans, evolution, says American Free Media. Yeah, that's what I've been told. Again, you're talking to someone who is not a biologist. Okay, so first off, my opinion about this bugs thing is based on sort of what people have told me. Okay, not a biologist. I'm not here with a microscope being like, or with some sort of like experiment with rats, seeing how like the digestion of chitin by rats, you know, how many rats are going to develop some sort of allergies later. I'm kind of just going with what I'm being told. Maybe my opinion's a little bit naive here, but I'm just saying that we are sort of in some ways almost embarking into a territory that human beings left in the past long, long ago, except for maybe certain regions in China where they do eat bugs. But then again, the reasons in China where they eat the bugs, I think they actually eat more of the flesh part. So that may not even be. Basically, we're going into an unknown. And an unknown that seems very dangerous and completely and totally unnecessary. It says they will be mixed with prepared foods. The bugs, yeah. Well, that's the thing is that's another thing where unfortunately, not only has my the fact that my former boss got thrown in the slammer in America is a reason I can't really go back to America. Also, I got the old juvenile justice threat that they might take my kids away once. That was a reason never to go back. And now with this bug thing, like my daughter already has allergies, and you know, that could take her out. That could take her out. So they're gonna start unleashing this thing, and I don't know. Basically means I'm stuck here because that's unacceptable. Let's see. Chuffed, comparative, more. Chuffed, superlative, most chuffed. British Ireland, informal, very pleased or satisfied or delighted. Okay, I'll believe that one. So anyways, working brother missed the big news was that I bought an apartment downtown, or at least with a mortgage, but don't worry about it. We're going to work on that. The payments aren't too bad. Tim will knock them down. I paid off a mortgage in 2 years on the second house in Chekhov, so anything's possible. Oh, good. The stereotypical drug dealer, black Cadillac Escalade. So I don't know. Here, I would say it would probably be like a used Renault Logan that's full of shovels. that's your Russian gangster image right there. So let's see. Anyone wanting to chit chat today? No. Remember, you can raise your hand. You can comment by commenting under the main image there. That's on Tim Kirby Russia Hardcore, which says the live stream starts in 15 minutes. You comment there. I see it. It's amazing. Anyways, I'm going to look a little bit more into the news, and then I think I'm going to get out of here because I have to wake up in the morning tomorrow. Let's see. Okay. The tweet from Trump, who said, first come the tanks, then come the nukes. Get this crazy war ended now. So easy to do. Now, some people, especially the people in the pipeline, were offended because they saw that, you know, well, Trump kind of did initially give some military aid to Ukraine. And as I said here, essentially, maybe if Trump was worried about a powder keg while he's in power, he probably could have tried to pour some water on the powder keg. But then we also have to remember, guys, remember, NATO's perception of Russia was that when this war started, Russia was just going to fall apart. That they were going to send a bunch of teenagers in boots with the wrong size, send them off to die, and that it was just going to be, sort of walk in the park here. So I think Trump did delay the war. He kind of kept the powder keg in the basement, but the problem is he kept it dry in the basement, and then Biden came in, took it out of the basement, and made it explode. So I don't know. I'm not sure if Trump's really hypocritical with this tweet. Maybe he's hypocritical a little bit, but I don't know. I kind of wish Trump would have done more, or I kind of wish he would try to do more now, but he has his own problems. So anyways, we had some articles about the insane egg crisis, which I've been told by my own mother is real, and it is nuts. One egg is almost 50 cents. That is crazy. especially here where I did the calculation. It's on here somewhere. I think one Russian egg worked out to be 16 cents, I think it was. So, which even then I think is a little pricey. The other day, I actually bought some lower grade eggs. So they're in Russia, S0 eggs are the biggest, and then S1 are like the next step down in size. And I bought S1 eggs for 70. And here eggs come in tens. So that's 7 rubles per egg. Hold on, 7 rubles, $2. That is a dime. So they were 10 cents each. That is amazing. So that was kind of a good purchase. That was not your average price, but I got a good deal on it. So eggs are down to 10 cents. Everyone is flipping out over the Cheburashka movie. Apparently it's really, really good. My kids are sort of beyond that age group, so I don't think I'm going to see it, but everyone is flipping out over the Cheburashka movie. It is nuts. So we have the crime thing in Chekhov. Let's see, do we have anything else? No, guys, it looks like I kind of covered a lot of the news. As you can see, you might be seeing on the channel that I'm sharing a lot of stuff in English from the Rybar, it's called, group. And that's because we've kind of gotten to be buddies. We've kind of had some nice chit-chats, and they were like, hey, we want to send you some of our top news in English. Could you post it? For free, of course. And I said, sure, because I generally like what they do, so you'll be seeing a lot of that. Oh, and one thing I would really recommend is maybe this, the most important. I'm going to share this again because it's my channel, and I can share something twice. Something to really check out is the interview with Alexander Dugin on OANN, the One America News Network. That is probably the only time you'll see like a real major news network talk to this guy, this huge figure whose size is only growing as Russia changes and evolves, being able to speak openly with a Western news source. So pretty crazy stuff. You should really, really enjoy it. And so I think that's going to be our closing words for today. Anyways, let me take a look and see if there's any questions, or does anyone have their hand raised? Oh my gosh, someone does have their hand raised. So a certain very important person to me. Hello, Mom. Hello.
Oh, hello, Tim.
Yes.
Actually, I had one thing, and then when you brought up the eggs, that is really big in America, but I have to tell you, people are not realizing that, like, the farmers are having to kill those chickens. Like, I don't know why. No one gets it. They think they're just dying from the flu. So, I mean, can we get that word out? The PETA people should be all over this, like, throwing their bodies over the chickens and everything. I don't understand.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but remember, Mom, PETA, they always are. They're one of those organizations that is always in line with basically Washington. You know what I mean? They just go after who's the bad guy of the week. And that's why I'm always very suspicious of these organizations. Greenpeace is the same way. Or if you look at it like a Vice News, you've probably maybe seen those. There's like they do these like sort of more almost like documentaries, but more like gonzo journalism for young people. But their opinions are always in line with the State Department. Always. So, yeah, so that's probably the problem. But thank you for chiming in there. I'm going to mute you, not because you're a bad person. You're my friggin' mother, so you're not a bad person. But I'm going to mute you there because, Mom, I'm actually going to get going here because my boy has a soccer game tomorrow morning, and I'm going to read the last questions, and then I'm going to vanish. There's one question, according to, that's interesting. Maybe someone deleted them. I saw the little thing pop up, and it said that there were X number of messages, which was an increase of 3, and yet there's only 1. So congrats on the flat. Is it new construction or Soviet blocks? I guess just to be real quick, because you missed it, working brother, I'm actually buying it in a condemned Khrushchevka. So that way, within a few years, it will be transformed by the magic of the government into a much bigger apartment in a brand new building downtown. Oh boy. And is that going to be worth a lot of money? And I am not quite sure what we're going to do with that, but for now, it's going to help me have a bigger Social Security, it might help my daughter with finally having a Moscow registration, go to school. Remember something I didn't bring up, but this is important, which is something I've never liked. There's a certain Muscovite arrogance or sense of self-superiority, but there's a certain rule where you can't call yourself a Muscovite unless your grandfather was. So it has to be 3 generations, okay? So if your grandfather came to Moscow, if your grandfather was born in Moscow and your father was born in Moscow, then you're born in Moscow. That's 3 generations, okay? But say your grandfather was born in Saratov, and he's from there, and he came to Moscow to work as an adult. Then you're only 2 generations of natural-born Moscow citizen or whatever, so you're not a Muscovite. F that. Get that junk out of here. Because then essentially one thing tells my kids that my kids are nothing. Like, you know, in Russia, there's this concept of your Malaya Rodina. Rodina is the motherland. Then you have Malaya Rodina, which is like the lesser motherland, which is usually the city or like the region you're from. And so my children have nothing. You know, you could say maybe Chekhov, but they spent the absolute majority of their time in Moscow. But technically, they're not Muscovites. Their grandchildren will be. Again, F that. Get that out of here. So I'm happy that at the very least, they may not be able to wear the official title of being from Moscow, but they can at least have, in a legalistic sense, they're definitely from Moscow. Yeah. I'm not quite sure if it's the best idea. I guess I'm going to wait until I get full confirmation that the apartment is mine and that, you know, in the government's registry of who owns what, you know, within 5 days, working days, and then see in the government registry that, hey, I'm the owner of it. At that point, I may actually make kind of like a funny video of, I bought the worst apartment in Moscow, because boy, in a lot of ways it is, especially, the apartment itself, I'm going to rent out, so I'm not going to live there. So I'm not too worried about making a video about it, because if Ukrainian assassins go, you know, they kind of figure out where it is and they go there to kill me, they'll just kill the guy running it. So F him. But the one thing I can't tell you is that, like, the hallways outside, the apartment itself actually is pretty decent on the inside. The hallways outside of it are like, if you're familiar with the Silent Hill. Excuse me. Where did that come from? Wow. Oh, excuse me. If you're familiar with the Silent Hill game series, it is the Silent Hill apartment complex from the 1960s. It is dark and the coloration is weird. So it almost looks like when you're walking in there, it almost looks like someone's put a filter over your eyes, you know, you know how, like, in a Hollywood movie, they film something in Mexico, they always put a yellow filter over it. It's kind of like that, but the filter's like red-orange. So the lighting is very weird, and it is very, very creepy. So, and the outside of the building looks extremely depressing. Like, if you think there's some Khrushchev-era buildings that are depressing, this one could win a Tuska competition. So it's really, really impressive. Yeah. So anyways, maybe I will make a video about it. Maybe I won't. I'm kind of debating whether that's a good idea to do, because in a lot of ways, there are some pretty crafty people out there, and they can, even if you don't really show where something is, they can kind of figure out where it is. So again, maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll get to that another day. That's not the most important video. I think most of you guys are here more for, according to this, which is interesting. The travel videos I make take by far the most effort, and it seems like no one likes them. They like my political opinions, which require me to sit here and talk. Much easier. So, you know, I'm going to try to make more, I guess, more political videos in the future. I think those provide more value to the people who are on this channel. My travel videos are apparently a huge failure, according to our data. So, anyways, but then again, recently we translated them into Russian, and in Russia, they are exploding. So, so these same videos translated are doing very well in Russian, which means we are probably going to continue to do them into the far future, which means I'll actually be able to pay off the apartment. Ooh, isn't that nice? So anyways, guys, I just want again to say, what do we have to say? We have to thank God. We have to thank President Putin, Margarita Simonyan, and Anatoly Wasserman, who kind of helped me get citizenship to be here, to be able to buy an apartment as a citizen of Russia. We have to thank all of you out there. Mom just wrote, so mom and dad for giving me existence and raising me, and to thank all the people who've helped me out, and especially employed me in one way or another, or given me donations or whatnot. They really help. And also, I guess at the end of this, right now, Tim is a bit financially in the pooper. So if any of you want to make a donation, you can try doing the donate button on our site, or you can try using my Boosty. I guess I will make a post about that right now because I'm hungry and I'm desperate.